Call this meeting of the Common Council to order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Moore.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Peachy.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Randall.
Here.
Myers.
Here.
Self. Kraus.
Thank you. At this time, we'll entertain public participation. Anyone wishing to address the council may do so. We please ask that you come to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to make a brief announcement.
Please do.
Tomorrow, Wednesday, November 20th, from 5 to 6:30 p.m. here in the council chambers, Wisconsin DOT will be holding a public information meeting to discuss the scheduled bridge replacement of South Main Street Bridge in the city of Jefferson. Purpose of the project is to address the aging structure carrying South Main Street over the Rock River. The structure was constructed in 1958 and overlaid in 1990 and is reaching the end of its service life. Proposed improvements include replacing the aging bridge with a similar bridge. This improvement project is currently scheduled for construction in 2030. However, design is progressing for construction as early as 2022 if additional funding becomes available before 2030. I believe I've kind of briefed the council on this, but just wanted to announce the meeting tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Can you give us a brief update on the leaf pickup procedures?
Sure. We did place some information in the Daily Union as well as the city Facebook page. As of right now, city crews are continuing to pick up leaves. As we have told people that have called this week, we are essentially one snowstorm away from not being able to pick up any additional leaves. So what we are encouraging residents to do is to be able to take leaves up to the compost site, which we have left open continuously. So normal hours are just Wednesdays and Saturday through Sunday. However, we are opening it continuously for this foreseeable future until we close the compost site altogether. So those residents that continue to put leaves out, at this point we cannot guarantee that we will be getting to their leaves, but we're doing our best. Certainly because of the snow and the wet conditions, we're not able to do our normal vacuuming, so we're picking up with loaders and skid steers. So we're doing our best. For the most part, I think residents have been understanding of the situation that we're in, but again, if they want to make sure that they are taking off their yards, the best option is to be able to take it up to the compost site.
Okay, thanks for the update, Bill. Anyone else for public participation? Seeing none, we'll move on to welcome Dr. Mark Relifson and Laura Peachy from the School District of Jefferson.
Thanks for having us, you guys. I think you probably had a little bit of a briefing, either if it wasn't here or it was at through the newspaper. So I'm not sure if they've had an opportunity to see the insert that we're proposing. That everybody's had a chance to see it or not yet. They have not. I see some heads shaking no.
Yeah, we
passed it out. Primarily what we're looking for really is just to have a general statement that would just indicate that when the property tax bill is received by the residents of the city of Jefferson, that they have an understanding that that slice of the pie that for years and years was the slice of the pie went only to the school district of Jefferson, and with changes in Wisconsin parental choice programs, that's no longer the case. There are some of those tax dollars do go to parochial schools, private schools, and charter schools across the state of Wisconsin. We cannot break that down into letting people know which parochial private schools, because we don't know that. We're not that information is not shared with public schools, nor is made public. We just get a sense that that's going to be likely within driving distance of if somebody's living in the school district of Jefferson and they're accessing a voucher school that's a parochial or private school, that it's within drivable distance, whatever that may mean, 30 miles, 40 miles, whatever that is. Most likely that's closer to to the city of Jefferson. So this gives us an accurate representation, the graph on the right, and we didn't want something that went out that had any sort of an edge to it, that had some sort of a feeling of public school versus private schools. That's not my intent, nor is our district's intent. Our board doesn't want to see that. I really want our parochial and private schools to thrive in this area and find success for a long time to come. I just think it's transparent for our tax dollars and our citizens to know that indeed the dollars are not only for the school district of Jefferson. That is a change in how things have been over the course of decades, actually. So this is a very general statement. I did have an opportunity to meet with Principal Peter Lemke yesterday. He had a number of questions from St. John's Lutheran. Sat down, and when he saw this, in fact, I even brought a copy of his email to me, and he was very favorable with this response. He thought it was very general, it was very accurate. It was exactly what he was looking for. So I think that he was also pleased with what we were trying to do. The School District of Jefferson Board of Education did vote last week on Monday, so 8 days ago, and approved this particular statement to be placed in the property tax bill, contingent upon, of course, the city's approval to do the same. So I'm here to certainly answer any questions that either myself or Mrs. Peachy could answer, and other than that, that's really all the full presentation I've got.
Questions of Dr. Robson? Do you know the breakdown of the school district of Jefferson, number of students compared to the private parochial?
This chart is specific to the, or the graph you're looking at here is specific to the city of Jefferson. In terms of grand total enrollment, remember there could be people that are, I guess it's a unique question, because we know that there's 44.5 students that are that are living in the school district of Jefferson, but accessing vouchers somewhere. We don't know if those are kindergartners, 12th graders, what grade level, what schools they go to, but there's 44.5 students. Our school district has 1,761 students this year. But remember that our school district goes beyond the city of Jefferson, so this particular dollar figure you see in front of you is specific to the city taxes. This would look different for the village of Sullivan, village of Concord, or town of Concord, et cetera. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, basically, you mentioned there was 44 and a half. You know what happened to the other half?
Or what we can find it, yeah. Good humor, I appreciate that.
Just for clarification, private or general parochial schools do not have to act.
They do not have to. They have to sign up. January 10th is the date. So we do know that St. John's Lutheran and St. Peter's in Helenville, which are there's three parochial schools that reside within our school district. We know that those two Lutheran schools did sign up to accept voucher students. St. John's Baptist, the Catholic school in town, has not, at least to date anyway. Other questions?
Thank you very much.
All right, very good. Thank you, guys.
Next, we'll move on to. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Move on to an overview of the 2020 budget. Ben, how do you want to use that discussion?
Yeah, why don't you just give me a little, yep.
I think you all should have a packet in front of you that looks like this.
Thanks. So the majority of this presentation will look pretty familiar to you, about 3/4 of it Tim explained to you at the last meeting. So we'll go through those slides again. If you have any questions, please stop me. Otherwise, I'll probably go through them kind of quickly. Go ahead. So we're at our final step tonight. We're at setting our tax levy and approving the 2020 budget. We have been legally noticed 15 days in advance of tonight. We were noticed, I believe, the 30th of October, so our proceedings tonight are legal for the adoption of the budget. This is just a recap of our 19 budget. We do anticipate by the end of the year having about a $60,000 addition to our fund balance. We did take and allocate some of our during our 2018 audit, we took and allocated some of our fund balance for a few projects this year, such as like the branding. We put aside some money for like emergency funds, such as flooding if we were going to have that. Comp plan, we had some public works infrastructure projects that we had, as well as some funds put aside for streetscape. So we won't use all of the funds that were allocated, but we will use a good portion of them this year. The big takeaway from this slide is that the budget will go up about 0.8% overall, or the levy will. We have about $33,000 new dollars that we were allowed to add to this year's budget. We will be adding about $5,000 extra into our debt service fund to service our new debt, which was just issued last Tuesday, and we'll be receiving our proceeds actually for that tomorrow. We did get an additional subsidy from the sanitary and storm sewer. This year, sanitary sewer went up additional $30,000. This was the last third of a planned increase that we had on the books for some time. I want to say that we probably initially talked about that about 10 years ago. We just finally took that last portion for the 2020 budget. The thing that is most interesting on this is, one, we've got a really good jump in our equalized valuation, but more importantly, you can see that we have about a 34-cent per thousand drop in our city tax rate. This will look different than what you saw a couple weeks ago. We now have the tax levies for all of the taxing jurisdictions, as well as the state school credit, which was just received yesterday. So we are looking at a decrease of about $1.08 per 1,000 of value of property. This would be if somebody's property did not change value from last year to this year. Most properties did. Overall, it was about a 4 to 5% increase, but obviously there's going to be some properties that didn't change, some that could be 8 or larger. We did have a pretty good turnout for people at open book and board review, so there are some people on the higher end of this, but it really reflects that there's a strong market and a strong sales going on in those types of homes. All right, the next one relates to our 2019 all funds spending to our 2020, and you'll see a rather large leap from 2019 to 2020. The majority of that, if you want to flip ahead to the next slide, you can do that right away. You'll find in the capital project section, which is kind of towards the bottom of each one of those. So last year, the capital spending was significantly lower than what we're processing this year for 2020, and you all have put a lot of time into looking at the plan, so you kind of understand that we're issuing some debt, which is why that number is higher, and you have a pretty aggressive project schedule for like the next 3 to 4 years. All right, so we can move ahead to the assumptions and highlights for the 2020 budget. We're going to be providing the same services as we were in the 2019 budget. The one big change will be the paramedic intercept program. As you know, we received a subsidy from Fort Atkinson Hospital for that program. We've ran it for a couple years, and really we can't continue on with that program without it costing the city of Jefferson taxpayers money, which would be kind of outside our boundaries. So the city taxpayer and those areas that we serve outside our jurisdictions will continue to benefit because we now have a paramedic program in place, but it won't be run as we've known it to be run in the last couple of years. In the new 2020 budget, we will hopefully have a full-time parks position, which will be funded July through December. And this budget also implements a 2.5% increase for the majority of city employees, including our bargained police unit. We will be giving approximately a 3% increase to anybody who's currently in step increases, and everybody who is in a step and anybody who gets an increase has to have a successful evaluation, which we're currently in the process of doing. The 2020 compensation plan will be put in place. This is a plan that the council has already seen and adopted. But this year, in order to implement, we needed to keep people in their current steps. So if in the 2019 plan, somebody is in a step 3, they get a successful evaluation by the end of 2019. At 1/1/2020, they will be placed on the new compensation plan, but they will stay at a step 3. They will not be proceeding to a step 4. This keeps people in a step a year longer. However, they tend to get a little better deal being in the step versus being out of the steps. So it's really not a horrible thing for employees. The one thing that we also will be doing is providing those increases on 1/1/20 rather than on their anniversary date. So it'll be a little easier for administration at this time. And finally, the health insurance. We instituted that last year. Big change. We will be continuing with Dean Care again this year with the HSA plan. The city will once again be funding the HSA deductible, but we'll be funding at the 2019 level and not the 2020. The 2019 level and not the IRS required 2020 level. As you guys know, we will also be decreasing that significantly in 2021 as we look forward, because we've got a couple of years where we've been able to fund the employees' HSA, and that won't be the case going forward. It's just a rundown of city positions. On there you can see that the EMS still has the 2 paramedics, $799 listed there, but that obviously will change. We won't keep the paramedics, but they won't be dedicated to just having to be in that vehicle. You can also see the only other difference would be that half-time crew person in the Parks Department. So looking at the 2020 budget, we have a unassigned miscellaneous contingency of $55,000. So if the council during the year has something come up of emergency nature, or potentially a project or an opportunity come up, the council would have those funds at their disposal for what they would like to direct them towards. For the expenditure restraint, we have anticipated our expenditures to increase at the $98,000. That's what we're noticed for tonight. And we will be adding an additional almost $30,000 to our expenditure restraint base. So the 2020 line item has increased to $250,000. That puts us at about 1.3% increase over last year, and the state actually gave us a total cap of 2.3, so we're well under that this year. This would be just a comparison of expenses from 19 to 20. We have about a $98,000 increase, as I stated in the prior, which equates to a 1.6% increase. That is net of our transfers. We did have, we were able to increase the transfers into the capital project fund to $700,000 this year. So that's pretty nice for a community our size to routinely be able to fund almost $750,000 of capital projects and equipment on a yearly basis. The council should be really proud of that. That's something that a lot of communities are not able to do. And the fact that we were able to increase it even incrementally, and hopefully incrementally in the coming years, is a great thing. Once again, the offset in that area with the transfers is about $30,000, and that's the increase that the sanitary sewer is compensating the city for doing their books. Looking ahead to our assumptions in the budget, everything was figured as no increase, with the exception, obviously, as the refuse and recycling contract that you also recently approved. So that is really the only change in the 2020 budget when it comes to services and user fees. Then on to capital improvement, which I know you guys have seen over and over again lately. So the proposed spending for 2020 is just a little over $3 million, and we have a variety of funding sources coming from the fund itself, which is tax levy supported. We've got obviously our note issuance, potential sanitary sewer issuance. We have funds from the sanitary sewer, storm. The library will be using a portion of their fund balance for some projects at the library, as well as the land acquisition fund. And the next two slides, once again, you've seen these a number of times. They outline the projects and the equipment that we anticipate purchasing and projects we anticipate doing in the coming year. As we just talked about, there's a variety of funding sources, and a large component of that was the debt that we have just issued. So these are a few slides that you actually have not seen. So we can talk a little bit about these, and please stop me if you have any questions on them. So looking into our 2020 budget, we have our statutory debt limit slide. And this just represents the amount that the city is able to the amount of debt that the city is able to issue. This year, after our new issuance, which was the 2.265 million, we are now at 7.5, which is 1.3 of our equalized valuation, and it's not quite it's about 25% of our total debt capacity. Once again, we're in a very good spot. We're certainly going to be positioned well in 2 years if we go back out into the market for the rest of the projects that the council has decided to pursue. It's just a very visual. This is a similar slide to what the auditors generally bring out when they present the general financial statements and audit. You can see that the total fund balance has increased. We found this year when Moody's did our rating for our debt, one of the things they talked about and why we were able to keep the rate that we were at, our bond rating that we were at, was a very strong fund balance. They said that there's a lot of factors that the city can't control, such as the demographics, and part of that is being the county seat, and part of that is our location. We're kind of sandwiched between two fairly built-out counties. So one of the things we can control is keeping that strong fund balance, designating when we need it, but never using it to the point where we're sacrificing our ability to go out into the market and get a very favorable interest rate. This is a very good slide to look at. You can see that our equalized value took a huge jump this year, and obviously an overall positive trend since like 2014 going up. Once again, the city does do a partial revaluation every year. And we did the walkthrough of homes in a 4-year cycle. I think that was about 10 years ago now. So just in conclusion, the 2020 budget preserves everything that we had in the 19 budget with minor changes to the way the EMS structure is. We will no longer be running the Intercept program, but we still will have the benefit of having paramedics on our staff. So our service area and our residents will get great service from our EMS department. We're going to have that levy increase of 0.8%, so we're staying under 1%. As we said, that equated to about $33,000. We are preserving a strong fund balance going into the new year. We anticipate probably adding about $60,000 to it, as well as, I'm assuming, some funds that we will not use that we allocated in the audit for a few additional projects that we probably won't complete by year end. And obviously you have put an enormous amount of time into the capital improvement plan. So we have lots of ambitious projects and equipment purchases that will take place in 2020 as well as 21. I believe that's all. Do you have any questions? Not for this year, the way this budget sits, but if we would have to do some kind of rescinded or refunded taxes, that could potentially, we would know that, I mean, we'll get that paperwork from the state, I mean, then they tell us that we're paying back. And we all take a piece of that. So just as right now we collect for the school and this MATC and the other taxing jurisdictions, they will all have a piece in that where we'll front it, but then they have to pay us within a certain amount of time.
Tanya, in prior years, you've always had sample taxes.
Yeah, we did not provide that this year, I'm sorry. One of the reasons why is we do not know what the first dollar credit or the lottery credit is going to be. I did take a look at that document, And it ranged anywhere. We had properties that had stayed flat in assessment. We had one that went up 14%, and then we had a 7%, I think an 8%, and a 6%. So I'm assuming that's where most of the properties are going to fall. They all showed overall like about $100 increase on their bill overall, but that's without knowing what any of the credits are going to be. Okay.
At this point, we'll adjourn to a public hearing to discuss the 2019 general, special funds, public library, refuse recycling, capital project and equipment, storm sewer utility, wastewater utility budgets, and adoption of the 2020 general special funds, public library, refuse recycling, capital project and equipment, storm and wastewater utility budgets. I'll call this public hearing to order, and I'll ask the city administrator to please read the notice of public hearing.
Notice is hereby given that the Common Council of the City of Jefferson will hold a public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2020 city budget on 19 November 2019 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers of this Jefferson City Hall, located at 317 South Main Street, Jefferson, Wisconsin. All interested persons are invited to attend the public hearing. Citizens will be given an opportunity to present written and oral comments and ask questions regarding the proposed budget. The proposed budget in detail is available for inspection at the City Administration Office from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, or is available online at www.jeffersonwis.com.
Thank you. We just had a very comprehensive presentation on the budget. Is there any additional explanation of the 2020 budget? Okay. At this time, any persons wishing to be heard, please state your name and address and reason for appearing. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Move on to resolution number 53. Resolution to adopt the 2020 general special funds, public library, refuse recycling, capital project and equipment, storm sewer utility, and wastewater utility budgets. Alderman Peachy, please.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor Upperman, fellow council members, and citizens of Jefferson. City of Jefferson, Resolution Number 53. Be resolved by the Common Council of the City of Jefferson that the 2020 general fund budget attached hereto and the 2020 budgets for special funds, public library, recycling, refuse, capital project and equipment, storm sewer utility, and wastewater treatment utility are hereby adopted. And be it further resolved that any budgetary figures stipulated in the municipal code shall be amended to reflect changes authorized in the municipal budget. I would so move.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Seconded by Alderman Kraus. Any discussion? I'd like to compliment the city staff, all of our city staff, with department heads especially, for working together with Tanya and Tim, and certainly our finance committee for all the hard work that was put into this. It's a good body of work. If there's no other questions or comments, all in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye as your name is called. No if you're opposed.
Alderman Byer.
Aye.
Peachy.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Lars.
Aye.
Tully.
Aye.
Kraus.
Aye.
Horn.
Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you. Resolution number 54, a resolution approving the 2019 tax rate and 2020 tax levy. Alderman Kraus, please.
Thank you, Mayor Opperman, fellow council members, and citizens of Jefferson. Resolution number 54. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Jefferson that the 2019 general fund property tax levy for municipal services in 2020 in the amount of $3,363,600, the 2019 public library fund levy for 2020 service in the amount of $442,975, and the 2019 capital project and equipment fund levy for 2020 in the amount of $700,000 is hereby approved. And be it further resolved that the following tax rate is hereby adopted. City of Jefferson, $8.58. I would so move.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Tully. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor of approval of the 2019 tax rate and 2020 tax levy, please signify by saying aye as Sarah calls your name. No if you're opposed.
Alderman Peachy.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Lars.
Aye.
Tully.
Aye.
Kraus.
Aye.
Horn.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Resolution number 55, tonight's consent agenda. Alderman Tully, please.
Thank you, Mayor. City of Jefferson, Resolution Number 55. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Jefferson, Wisconsin, that the consent agenda for November 19, 2019 is hereby adopted. A, we had vouchers payable for November 2019 in the amounts of $160,400.31. October manuals in the amount of $156.50 and $33.25. Payroll summary for November 8, 2019 in the amount of $164,641.72. B, council minutes from November 5th, 2019 of the Common Council. C, Jefferson County Humane Society 2020 contract. D, licenses as approved by the Regulatory Committee. We approved 5 operators license and there were no special class B license applications. I would so move.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderwoman Byer. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye as your name is called. No if you're opposed.
Alderman Miller.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Lars.
Aye.
Tully.
Aye.
Kraus.
Aye.
Horn.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Resolution number 56, a resolution authorizing the preparation and submission of a community development block grant application. Alderman Brando, please.
Honorable Mayor Opperman, fellow council members, and citizens of Jefferson. City of Jefferson Resolution Number 56, authorizing the preparation and submission of a Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application. Relating to the City of Jefferson's participation in the Community Development Block Grant Public Facilities CDBGBPF program. Whereas federal monies are available under the Community Development Block Grant program administered by the Wisconsin Department of Administration, Division of Energy, Housing, and Community Resources for the provision of improvement of public facilities, and whereas after public meeting and consideration, the Finance Committee has recommended that an application be submitted to the DOA for the following project. The reconstruction of Plymouth Street between Wisconsin Drive and Main Street, South 26, including spot curb repair, stormwater improvements, regrading, and pavement resurfacing. And whereas it is necessary for the City Council to approve the preparation and filing of an application for the City of Jefferson to receive funds from this program, and whereas the City Council has reviewed the need for the proposed project and the benefit to be gained therefrom, and now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Jefferson, Wisconsin does hereby approve and authorize the preparation and filing of an application for the above-named project. And that the city administrator is hereby authorized to sign all necessary documents on behalf of the City of Jefferson, and that authority is hereby extended and granted to the Finance Committee to take the necessary steps to prepare and file the application for funds under this program in accordance with this resolution. I so move.
Thank you, President Brando. It's been moved. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Kraus. In discussion?
This is essentially resurfacing the road from Wisconsin Drive to South Main Street, spot curb repair, and then some stormwater improvements limited to specific intersections. We've discussed this in the past that this project is, we do not have to proceed with the LMI survey because of the location of this project. So we're moving the proposed project to Plymouth Street for roughly a 2022 construction.
Right, Peggy, this one is related to the closeout of that revolving loan fund where we're paying and getting the money back in the form of a block grant. And while we once were talking about the alley, we moved that to Plymouth Street. for 2021.
Oh, 2021, I'm sorry.
I would say you'll be dealing with this a lot because this is a very cumbersome program. We just took the first step tonight.
Any other questions or comments? Recommendation from the Finance Committee?
Yes, it was unanimous.
Thank you. If there are no other questions or comments, all in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye. Sarah calls your name. No if you're opposed.
Alderman Randall.
Aye.
Lars.
Aye.
Tully.
Aye.
Kraus.
Aye.
Horn.
Aye.
Meyer. Aye. Peachy.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session pursuant to section 19.85, parent 1E of the Wisconsin State Statutes regarding a discussion on business prospects.
So moved.
Mr. Miller, Mr. Peachy, on a roll call vote, please. Signify by saying aye as your name is called.
Alderman Lars.
Aye.
Tully.
Aye.
Kraus. Horn.
Aye.
Meyer. Peachy.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Randall.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. We will reconvene and we will not take up any more actions tonight. Thank you.